Hey folks, Casper here, moving to 𝗣𝘂𝗵𝘀𝗆 Today I want to talk about what I call the purchasing pathway. This is a top-down view of the entire process of getting started in your home search and getting to close and moving into your new home. If you are in the market or planning to be in the market, this is going to be a great foundational video for us to just cover all the steps to get us to close and when we can expect them. So you have a good overview of what this entire journey is going to be like for you. So consider this a map. This purchasing pathway is part of a 17-page buyer's guide that I've prepared for my clients. I always share this with them on our orientation calls. So if you're interested in checking out the whole thing so you can get some more insight into these steps, then please reach out to me. Let's schedule an orientation call. We can go over those things together in as much or as little detail as you need. We're going to keep this shorter, so we're going to focus on that one page. I don't want this video to be too long. First, obviously we need to find a home, and doing that is going to start with an interview. So that orientation meeting that I discussed. The point of that is not only to understand like how many beds, baths, location, budget, and so on, but also to understand what is motivating your search, because that can influence all of those factors. If you need to get in somewhere so your kid can get into a certain school before school season starts, well then that obviously is a big deadline that we need to meet. The point is, if you are like, for example, a young bachelor just starting out their new job and looking for a condo in the city, your motivations are going to be different than, for example, empty nesters who had kids go off to college and they're starting their own lives and now they're ready to downsize. So keeping all those motivations in mind is going to be very important, because eventually, as with most people, we're going to have to make some compromises, or at least have an understanding of what is really important to us that we should not compromise on, and other things that we can kind of let go and make some adjustments on. Because at the end of the day, most people don't have an unlimited budget, are also not looking everywhere, but maybe a specific part of the city. But with that, we're going to have limited options, and so we're going to have to be precise about our search and understand what is most important to us and what we can just let go of if we don't get out of our next home. Now, during the interview, we will take a look at some properties so we can get an understanding of what the market is offering us. Is it meeting our expectations? Or, for example, are we going to have to make those compromises? So looking at the market first and looking at those houses together, I can also get the subjective opinion of yours. So does this open floor plan meet your expectations? Is this what you meant by split level? Is this what you expected? Is this too cramped for you? These things are going to be very difficult to talk about over the phone. So I always encourage my clients to get onto that orientation call so I can show you some photos of things that I think would fit your initial criteria, and then we can continuously narrow that down and scrutinize what we're looking at. I think a really important thing for clients to ask themselves at this stage is, what is my current living situation not giving me that I would really like out of my next home? And that can at least get the conversation started. You should be looking at this as, in some sense, an upgrade from your current status quo of living. Is a fun way to think about it and a good way to get the conversation started if you're feeling a little stuck on what is really important to you. So once we get an understanding of what the market is offering us, essentially, and what neighborhoods we're looking in and what types of homes we want, the next step is to start going out and looking at those neighborhoods specifically and going to open houses when they are available. A home never stands alone. The surroundings are always going to be very important and can make or break a home for you. For example, pull up and it's like right next to the highway or the airport. Some people may not like that. Some people might like that because of the convenience factor. I can just get on the highway and go wherever I need to go. But other people, well, I don't really like being next to all that noise. And so there's a differing opinion that should be considered. And if you want to save some time and gas, Google Street View is your friend. I always encourage you, check around the place. Maybe get some satellite views. Get a sense of how big the backyard is. Are you looking like directly at your neighbor's porch, back porch that is? Some people don't like that. They want to have a little bit more space, or at least be sure that they can set up a fence in that area, which is another thing to consider. So we're going to be scrutinizing all these results. And I say scrutinizing because this is really a process of elimination. It's really important for us to understand what we want and what we don't want, because I can eliminate those things from our automated search. So if you don't want corner lots, if you don't want two-story buildings, if you don't want things that don't have a brick exterior, if you don't want something that was built more than 50 years ago, these are all things that I can make sure we avoid. And so that negative feedback is really going to empower your realtor to basically tailor fit a home for you. Eventually, there's going to be a perfect home out there for you somewhere. We want to do our very best to find that perfect home for you, especially don't want to waste time looking at homes that generally fit the gist of bedrooms, bathrooms, and budget, but doesn't really match with you as far as what you're expecting in terms of this change in your lifestyle and what this home can offer you as far as upgrading your status quo. Now, as we go to these property showings, things will be more apparent as far as what we like and what we don't like. That first showing is especially revealing. Clients can be very surprised at how different a home can look in person versus photos. You have to understand that real estate photographers use wide-angle lenses to capture a whole room in one shot, but that can also give the impression of having the room be much bigger than what it actually is. Lighting can also change how we see how bright the area is. It can hide some of the imperfections in the walls and the baseboards and the carpets and the flooring and so on. Looking at the home in person is very important. Having the opportunity to do that will help you scrutinize the results and continuously narrow down your search. We might go to a couple of showing circuits. Some people might find what they love in one, but ultimately, as long as you are reflecting constantly on the search process, reflecting constantly on what is and what isn't important to you, you're going to end up getting a really good understanding of what the home that you want is valued at. And then once we get to offer, you'll know what is a good offer, what is a good deal, and what is too high. That will also help you once we get to the offer process. For making an offer is a chapter of its own, and I have a couple of videos and blogs on my website that cover this in different ways, like making the perfect offer, hammering a stubborn seller if you want to lowball them. There's different strategies for different situations, and we can certainly talk about that. I really enjoy this part of the job, and I love being able to work with my clients to try to get them a good deal no matter what the situation is. I have to understand, and now this is a buyer-focused video, but look, sellers out there are very opportunistic, now especially, but in any market that's going to be true. Everybody wants to get the highest value for their home. So as a buyer, do not be afraid to ask for what you want. If you want something, go for it. Talk to your realtor. Tell them, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And maybe if it's not a good idea to lowball them because they just listed an hour ago and they'll probably just say no, we can keep an eye on that and see maybe in a week's time. There's a number of ways to go about it, but like I said, offers are in their own chapter, and we can go and make an entire video about this. And I encourage you to check out the other videos I've made on this. So once the offer is accepted, you will have an opportunity to inspect the property. We obviously want to know what we're getting for the money. A professional inspector can come in and point out any material and non-material defects. This outlet doesn't have a cover on it, or there's cracks in the foundation at the very worst. All these things you want to know, and sometimes inspection can be scary. And I say good, because if it scares you away from a bad deal, then that's okay. Look, if it's something that needs repairs, that's an opportunity for us to ask for the seller to repair that or provide us credit for that. And this is all part of the attorney review period. 5 business days after signing, you will be able to review the contract with your attorney. And if you don't have an attorney, I have a book of them to offer you so you can make a decision, because we work with quite a few of them pretty frequently, and we know who does a good job and takes good care of our clients. So just ask. But if you have a trusted one, excellent. You will sit down with them and review the contract, maybe make any modifications that you see is necessary or that your attorney feels that would be a good idea. And then part of that would also be, hey, here we're asking for a reduction in the sales price, or asking for credits, or asking for repairs for the issues that we found during inspection. Now, if you guys don't come together with a deal, then you can back out of the contract without any penalty to you. Penalty usually being your earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit is an indication that you're earnest about making this offer, that you're willing to put money down to tag along with your offer to show them, hey, I'm willing to put this much money down in escrow and have it be tied up because I really want to buy this home, and I'm okay with having that much money tied up, knowing that it's going to come back to me to pay for my closing costs once we get to the closing table. So the earnest money deposit is going to be something that the seller looks at to give them confidence that you're serious about it. If for whatever reason you violate the contract, which is kind of hard to do, there's a lot of ways to get out of a contract without losing your earnest money deposit, then the seller will keep that earnest money. But like I said, this is a rare situation, and your attorney and realtor can also give you some insight on that based on their experience and expertise. You might have noticed that at this point I'm talking a lot about what the attorney is doing. Really, after offer is accepted, your attorney is going to be taking over to negotiate the contract, enforce it, and make sure that we get to close nice and cleanly. We're going to make sure that title is going to be all squared away. We're going to make sure that all the inspection items, the repair requests that we made were completed and completed correctly, and otherwise all obligations that both the buyer and seller have to each other are met before closing or at closing. So at this point, you're going to be speaking to your attorney a lot, and closing takes about 30 days most of the time. As an attorney, I've been able to close in a week, but that was a cash offer. Things were very quick that way. Things that could delay closing are going to be, well, we need to get condo association documents. Those are notoriously, sometimes it just takes a really long time to get them. Lenders need to get a clear to close on the loan. They need to process your loan, and sometimes that can take a very long time, especially if you have like some kind of special loan, like an FHA loan or NACA loan, that is part of like a special government program where there's additional hoops to jump through, that not only the property has to be okay, we have to double check that the borrower is going to be okay, the buyer in the situation, and so that may take a little bit more time. If you have a cash offer, I mean, you skip that lending part and you can go straight to closing. It's much easier. It's still title has to be done, condo association work has to be done. That can take maybe a little bit more time depending. Once we start getting into closing, usually a day before closing, you'll have a final walkthrough with your realtor. We'll walk through, make double sure that all the repairs that we requested were done and that no other issues came up in the 30 days that we were preparing to close. You know, I've had it before where like a basement flooded, like because there was a rainstorm the day before. Well, okay, so at that point, that was unfortunate. We had the seller make a claim with their insurance company, and the insurance company came in, remediated the basement, no worries. Everything was nice and brand new again. And we delayed closing a week so we could have that taken care of. And then we closed, the buyer moved in. And as far as I know, they've been very happy with their home. That final walkthrough serves as just a final check. Then you'll get the closing and you'll show up there. Your realtor will typically be there. Your attorney will definitely be there. And you will sign 2 stacks of documents, 1 document with respect to the title work to make sure that the transfer is done in your name and correctly, and that the seller made all the promises that they needed to make, that, hey, I can actually sell this home. This isn't under contract anywhere else. There's nobody else going to be coming after you for claims to the property, liens, this and that. The seller has an obligation to provide the buyer is what is called marketable title, which is a legal term of art that means title that is reasonably free from the risk of litigation. So that title work serves to protect you in the future from any kind of issues that the seller might have caused during their ownership of the property. And then the second stack, which sometimes isn't going to be there, is the mortgage paperwork. Again, if you have a cash offer, you're not going to do this, but it's going to be all the paperwork that the bank wants you to sign as a final thing that says, hey, I'm going to pay this mortgage, it's going to this house, and I understand that if I don't make my payments, we can get foreclosed on. That's really just the bank covering themselves. So title and the bank paperwork, and then you'll get the keys and we'll close and we'll celebrate. And that's it. And so there's a lot of steps there, but I hope that this was useful to you. Again, really, this is about being smart. If you're going to arm yourself with anything out there, arm yourself with intelligence, arm yourself with research, know what you're looking for. And that way you can avoid the rat race and avoid, bidding on the next big shiny thing that comes on the market, because you know what is important to you. And you're not going to be looking at listings that are just frankly distractions that are not going to suit you at the end of the day because they just don't make sense for you. If you have any questions about this process, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always so happy to help. If you're ready to buy now or in the future or in 2 years or what have you, we can make a plan for you. Some people want to buy right away and it turns out, hey, they're not ready yet, but we help them make a plan. We team up with the rest of our team, our lenders and so on, make sure that they have some kind of financing solution for themselves. And if we need to wait a year, then we need to wait a year. It's not a big deal, but it's always great because at least you walk away with a plan and feeling a little bit more confident. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a dislike. I'm just glad that you guys are here, and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel tremendously. I'll have more videos like this coming out and we can get into the nitty-gritty of any kind of offers. If you guys have any questions in the comments or creative ideas, I'd love to hear them. So please do that and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.